clearly, you have to have targeted policies for this group of girls, and that's very difficult because governments have ministries of education, they have ministries of health, but the ministries of youth are not that well known. They don't have resources. So I think that a big challenge is to find the right institutional vehicles to implement programs for adolescent girls, and the technically qualified vehicles. So I think that what we have to do is really go to the ministries of labor and to the ministries of education and to the ministries of health and all these different ministries and mainstream issues of adolescent girls in these line ministries.
One of the conversations that we've been having here has been around the life cycle approach, and recognizing that girls aren't just students, girls aren't just working hopefully in non-harmful labor, girls aren't just accessing ICTs. It's making sure that policies are representative of the fact that girls live in communities, they're a part of families, they are part of groups, and making sure that the policies that we do implement have input from girls themselves, first of all, but secondly, that when we implement policies, we actually have capacity to make sure that they are realized. A lot of times I find we focus on legislation and policy work, and now it's making sure that what's in there is realized.
I actually strongly, and I'm going to talk about this morning, want to make the case for a certain for a certain set of macroeconomic policies that promote an enabling environment for young girls, enabling environment in terms of the appropriate investments in education and health, but more importantly, the type of investments that create decent work, that give them the opportunities for skills building and training, for earning, for higher earnings, and as I said, for asset accumulation. So there's a variety of types of macroeconomic policies that I would pay attention to. In this current crisis, I think we have to argue for fiscal stimulus that's channeled into public employment programs and job creation. We also need to think about far more extensive provision of social protection for young women, social protection, whether it's a conditional cash transfer or other type of program. So as an economist, of course, I focus on these kinds of questions, but I fully support the other kinds of issues that people have spoken about in terms of access to really good quality reproductive health services. And of course, key for this age group is getting girls to stay in school.
I'm just limiting this to urban, informal settler girls. I would say some of government definitely, and social welfare department particularly, has to get into a situation, into these communities, and together with the NGOs and the people's organizations, as well as youth groups, begin to formulate real programs, which are not just the standard, kids help out in, sports, they have dances for adolescents, they run cleanup programs, young people, clean up the beach and all of that. But the young people themselves say that's all we're good for, they never think we can do anything else, and they only consider us problems all the time, when actually we could do much more. But one of the issues that they have is really earning, going to school, learning the new technology, looking for progress in their lives. I suppose some, if the girls, if they see a trajectory of future, they're not likely to get married early or get pregnant early because they know that's the end of the possibility of a future. So I think we need definitely community-based programs with many multi-partners, which should be led by the young people themselves. And that's what I hope will come out of this research.
The most important overarching policy is to focus on the girls just before puberty because their childhood is 2 years less than males, which is the single most important gender-related fact. They have already in many cases received much lesser investment. At puberty, it gets even more perilous. And so by the time society pays attention to them, all these bad things have happened. So we have to move attention earlier. We have to focus on asset building of girls in girl-only platforms. We need to bring them together as girls with mentors. This doesn't mean there aren't others that need to be engaged along the way, but it is a rarity today, still, to find a program with a dedicated space for girls for whom they are the clear and central clients.
When I prepared, the paper on human rights, I tried to see that what are the strategies and the plans that should be used to enhance, to improve their situation. And I summarize it along two lines, which I still think are valid. And I formulated them as listening to the adolescent girls, number one, and investing in the adolescent girls, number two. And this might look very simple and very obvious, but it's a lot of things are in that. When you say listening to the adolescent girls, is really knowing their situation very well, what problems they face, what vulnerabilities they are, subject to. It's also coming close to them, letting them express themselves, which is one of the rights of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And the other thing, it's also, listening is also paying attention to these emerging problems, emerging situations. The second one, investing in girls, is also a lot of things inside it. I mean, it's promoting their development in whatever ways and means are possible, contributing to their empowerment. And this means also addressing the determinants, that sometimes are the reason for their vulnerabilities, situations of poverty, situations of discrimination, of traditional practices and customs that discriminate against them, that do not consider them as equal human beings to all others. So it's addressing all these environmental factors that contribute to their discrimination. So I think these two big lines would be some kind of guidelines for policies.